Hello, America. I'm Dave Hodges, the host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. And we defend God, family, country in that order. And we have a special place in our heart for the oppressed. And we do occasionally take on causes. I think this is a cause. And we're going to revisit the drought data center issue because there's a new twist. This is new information you have not likely heard. The information I'm going to present comes from interviews I've watched and conversations I've had. And a lot of this information is coming from official sources. And then I'm going to share something with you from a quote media perspective, not mine, a media perspective and a governmental perspective that's going to greatly influence you. I want to say this though, you people who are serving on water boards in Arizona, I have come to the conclusion that a good number of you really do care about public welfare. And then some of you are under the influence. I don't know if you've signed NDAs or not. That's another matter for another time. But we're going to get into this here. And this is really, really important. Now, before we go there, oh, yes, you can see I'm buried in drought. Okay, so yeah, that's me. So we're going to actually talk to you about, I believe, the potential opportunity of a lifetime. And no, it's not going to work for everybody. And yes, if it works for you, you're going to realize wealth and stability and recession proof income way beyond your wildest dreams. Not offering pie in the sky, because, like I said, this is not for everybody. But the good people at Ironhawk Financial will evaluate your situation very quickly and they'll tell you, yeah, I think we can help you. And then we're going to walk you through a series of interviews and information giving. We're going to show you how it works. We're going to check in at certain key points in this process because it takes 6 weeks to 2 months on average, but it can go as long as 6 months. Now, that's on the rare side, but it has happened. They cross every I and dot every T as I juxtapose that phrase. Let me just share this with you. If you can't benefit, you're not getting a sales pitch. You'll not get a sales pitch anyway, but they will suggest for you these are some things that you want to think about doing. And I've worked pretty closely with the CEO, Joe Lombardi, and I've worked very closely with Marianne McAdory, who's the chief operating officer. And I could tell you, they're good people. You know, Marianne and I've talked a lot about our Christian values. And this is the treatment you're going to get when you call. You owe it to yourself to check out the opportunity. That's why I'm not going into great detail. Marianne or her staff will fill you in on this. But you owe it to yourself. And I'm imploring you because we are going through very hard times. And if we continue down this war path on behalf of another nation, things are going to get dramatically worse economically. And I'm offering you a life preserver if you qualify. How do you qualify? Well, first thing is you got to make yourself available for a conversation. Go to dhawk.com. That's dhawk.com. And then they'll be in touch with you. And like I said, it's a pretty quick process to say yay or nay. We can help you, we can't. Um, let's get down to business here. I've been selling the notion, and I think to some degree for some communities, this is going to be true. Like the Dust Bowl created ghost towns because people had to move because farming dried up and the water wasn't good. And okay, and that happened during the Great Depression. Uh, we're going to have some Dust Bowl cities. So what I've been telling you about the risk of cities dying because of AI data centers coming in and actually to the microchips plants, same thing. They use inordinate amount of water. And many, two-thirds of them are located in drought-ridden areas, like the Southwest and the Ogallala Water Reservoir. And right then, you've encompassed 80 million people affected by this process. There will be ghost towns. But the bigger effect is I'm learning from some of the experts working for government water boards is not that cities and towns are going to all die, but there's another effect out there that you really need to be worried about. I'm going to give you some specific data in a minute, but I want to give you the overall view and then work backwards. Although you may not have to move, because you can't get water. You're going to pay such an inordinate fee that you may not be able to afford to stay. And I'll use Arizona as an example. And then you go, well, Dave, I'm not drought ridden. I don't need to listen anymore to this. Oh, yes, you do. The food supply comes in on the back end. Every American, all 340 million plus of us, are going to be impacted by this. No one's escaping this. Some people have the means to tolerate it, but no one has the means to escape what's coming. So you want to stay tuned. Let's talk about what the state of Arizona, and to some degree, you got California and Nevada, what they're looking to do. And I know more about Arizona because that's where most of my conversation is centered, but it's just not atypical. Okay, here's the deal. There's a lot of groundwater. And Arizona's done a good job, and this is why they're being punished by less than the Colorado River obtaining, and they're having to pay an inordinate share of dropped supplies from the Colorado River. Arizona is being punished for being efficient. So their canal system, the underground water, they've done really well. They've done really well. The problem is to get water from point A to point B is going to change if we lose Hoover Dam, Glen Canyon Dam, Lake Mead goes down, and we're close to that. I'll get to those data points in a second. We're very close to that. Hydroelectric power is going to be greatly impacted. You're going to pay, you think you're paying more now because of the data centers, like my rates went up 17% with Arizona Public Service. And this is how screwed up Arizona is. Just as if, I don't know if you have this in your state. I know in Colorado it's one. Okay, Colorado Public Service, CPS. That's it. Here we have Saltwater Project, and it's a nonprofit. Their rates are 10 to 20% below Arizona Public Service. They are not profit making. Arizona Public Service looks at its customers and how much money can we squeeze out of them. It's not fair that we don't get to choose. Well, I know why we don't, because none of us with a brain would choose Arizona Public Service on that basis. So to move the water that needs to be done for hydroelectric, that's going to be the most expensive increase. Your electric bills, if you think they're going up now, oh, Katie, bar the door because it's going to explode. And this comes from the mouth of people that work in the water industry. So they say, no, you're not going to die of thirst. You're going to be able to take a shower. We may impose some watering restrictions on lawns, the hours and the days and so forth, but probably not. But what's going to happen is your electric rates are going to skyrocket. Well, since you have 65% of America that can't pay a $500 car repair bill, there's going to be people that say this is not livable. Well, don't think packing up and moving is going to save you. Stay tuned until the end because you'll see at the end why everyone's affected. Okay, so that's problem number one. Problem number two is getting water directly. Well, again, you've got to move it from one place to another. And to move it is going to be very, very expensive. And so your water rates are going to climb exponentially. And where I live, we have well water. In fact, we sit on top of the Hampiapa water reservoir. And it's the biggest one in the state, which is one of the reasons why McCain and that mafia tried to get us off our land without compensating us starting back in '03. And we had that 8-year battle. I learned all about water aquifers and how they work. And when you bring the table down and your dam doesn't, excuse me, your well doesn't reach, now you're paying an inordinate fee to reach even deeper, but you got to get a permit to do it. And then you're going to have limitations put on you. So that's how I'm affected. If you're on city water, okay, you're just going to pay jacked up rates. But here is the problem. When the cuts come or the expense becomes too great, the farmers will purposely choose not to irrigate certain parts of their farmland. So now the crop yield is going to be less abundant. oh, this is how everyone else gets ensnared. This is might be why someone in Michigan that shouldn't have to worry about this because they got lots of water, how they're going to get ensnared in this because it's going to be really, really bad in some communities. And I'm going to say the misery is not going to be shared equally across the board, but the country is going to suffer collectively because when something affects farming, the cost gets passed on to the grocery store, and then of course they want their increase. And we've already seen with oil, if oil costs $5 more a barrel, the oil companies are making $25 more a barrel on it. There's profiteering based on misery. And I don't expect that trend to change when it comes to the food supply. So you are looking at food being a problem. Now, I asked a water board person, what crops are going to be most affected? And he said, in our area of the country, it's likely going to be alfalfa. And he went through the reasons. I won't bore you with all the details. Let's just take alfalfa. And I said, why alfalfa? He said, because publicly people will look at this and say it doesn't really affect our exports. I mean, we're the biggest exporter of winter nuts and vegetables and so forth in the country. Winter. Overall, that's in Northern California, and they're affected by this too. So alfalfa doesn't sound like a big deal. I don't eat alfalfa. I don't care about alfalfa. Well, what gets fed by alfalfa? Cows. So what? Well, this is where we get milk, other dairy products, and beef. And the beef industry is already in a chaotic state. Just look in the state of Nebraska. I haven't done a show on it yet, but Nebraska farmers with beef are going through a crisis level management situation. And this would exacerbate that big time. So, when the WEF came out a few years ago and said, we're not going to let you eat meat, drink milk. And so, listen, I don't know if they knew about this. I don't know if these two things are tied together. But when they said you wouldn't have things like milk and beef, this is exactly what's going to happen because of this water shortage. And this is something that you should take very seriously. Now, how dangerous is this? I'll speak to Arizona's case, but this is not unique to Arizona. Lake Powell is losing 4 feet of water per month. When I started reporting on this last month, they were 35 feet away from what they call the power pool. The power pool means that water levels are so low that you can't generate electricity going out. So you got to bring in water from somewhere else. So how far away are the utility rate hikes going to go? And they're not going to wait for the next billing cycle. They're going to do it under emergency provisions. This is what I've been told as well. Okay, now right now, today, we're 30 feet away from failure. This is official. We're 30 feet away from failure. And you're going, holy cow, how did it get this bad? And we're not hearing about it. Okay, well, Power Pool is almost upon us. Person I spoke to in authority, they were saying that I'm really angry because we've known this is coming and we always thought it was someone else's problem. We should have anticipated we were going to get cheated on the deal for the Colorado River water distribution, that we weren't going to get our fair share. And we're not. We're being punished for success in Arizona. But that success is going to lead to us having to bring in outside water. And you guys are going to pay higher food prices. Everyone is impacted, and everyone should be greatly upset. Now, here's what some people are going to say, and I got explained to me why this is silly. Well, we'll just stop golf courses. They are, pardon the pun, a proverbial drop in the bucket. They don't use that much water, and it's recycled wastewater. Yes. Okay, well, we're going to put restrictions on homeowners. Our homes today are amazingly water efficient. American technology at its best. You're not going to be able to make any meaningful cuts to homes and expect water efficiency to improve. Changing a system out in your home is not going to help. Now, if you have a home that's built maybe in the early 1900s, that's a different matter. But for most of the homes today, that's not going to be a factor in this. So where are you going to make your cuts? And this is where Colorado is just amazingly stupid. They have, I mean, really, we should do IQ tests on legislators because Colorado is imposing draconian water restrictions on golf courses and homes, and those aren't the biggest areas of concern. Number one, it's the data centers. And well, first it's the weather. Okay, the drought. Number two are the data centers. Well, they're not touching the data centers. They're okay. They're the sacred cow. In fact, let me do a media story digression, and this should make all of you just furious. Channel 3 News does a good job on some things, but they are so propagandized to the left, and it comes through subtly. Like with all the exposure that's been done by President Trump and the DOJ about voter impropriety in 2020, 2022, 2024. Okay, with all that we know in the investigations going on in some of the cases that have already been adjudicated, you'll get a Channel 3 newscaster that'll say, the election deniers all discredited, blah, 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 blah. And then they go tell the story. It always becomes the banner headline in the beginning that's in the teleprompter. Okay, so there's the propaganda you'll see every day. The second thing you see with the propaganda is this. They did an investigative story just this morning on a chip factory. And this one chip factory is large. It uses 4.65 million gallons of water per day. Per day. And our water rates are going up because of that per day. But that's not the end of the story. They sent out a reporter, and it was kind of like you've committed a crime, but the court puts you in charge of investigating your own crime. That's what they're doing here. Channel 3 went out and they interviewed the people and they told these glowing stories. Oh, we recycle 65% of the water. Well, they might not, they might do it now, but they're planning expansion. But I don't, listen to me. Did you hear what I said? 65%. Well, Mr. Jones, 65% of your cancer is gone. Well, couldn't the other 35% kill me? You see, they're still adding what they take. So take a third into 4.6. That's how many millions of gallons of water per day that we, the taxpayers of Arizona, are paying for with higher rates so they can make a profit. Private profit at public expense. And see, they're hoping that they can say this number that's over 50%, and it sounds really impressive. Oh, gee, it's 65%. Okay, let's go back to sleep. Nothing's going on. Well, no, you're paying for the other 35%. And well, someday we have a goal to make it 90%. Well, okay, that's someday. It's not now. And here's my position on this. I don't care if it's 99%. Why should I have to contribute to the 1%? I'm contributing to other people's profits. This is a private entity. And here's what the city of Phoenix said. Remember, I said we'd raise a concern about the media and we'd raise a concern about government. The city of Phoenix said, well, they do 65%. Oh, and someday they're going to go to 90. Oh, and they employ all these people. I don't care if you employ 1 million people. If you make it impossible for people to have affordable water, I don't care what your employee rate is. I don't care what your redistribution of water is. That doesn't matter to me. You should not be coming to us. It should totally be self-funded, and it is not. And it is not all across the country. We are paying for billionaires to move into the realm of trillionaires. And quite frankly, I'm tired of it. This is grifting. And you look at so many biblical scriptures that talk about responsibility of government to the people. You know, Jesus washed the feet of his servants. Well, right now, the people that are supposed to serve us are not washing our feet, they're cutting them off. And I'd have to say that one, I'm pointing out that we need a collective action against this. No, no, don't start shooting them down like people are doing the flock cameras. That's ridiculous. I'm not talking vandalism or anything crazy. I'm talking about forcing legislative action. Do I get an amen? Well, this is Dave Hodges, and I just thought you need to know how this is working. And when you go to the grocery store and start paying higher taxes because we in agricultural producing areas produce less, you're going to pay a lot more. So no one is escaping this. I am, again, sorry to bring this to you. I wish I could bring you good news. And if the news changes and we win some victories on reform, then I'll come back and report that. But until then, I'm your watchman on the wall, Dave Hodges. We'll see you back here next time.